Welcome to Pretty Lies and Ugly Truths, where you can either die with the lie or
the truth will set you free.
And that voice of reason you just heard was
Soya Viga Mamiana.
I am the Alex E. Miller, and as we always do on Pretty Lies and Ugly Truths, we always allow the guests to introduce themselves. We treat it like the first day of school, first day on the job. You know, you stand up, you tell us whatever you feel we don't know, we should know, whatever we need to know about you.
Sweet. My name is Valtrenda. I am an author, a counselor / life coach, as well as a host. I pretty much focus on crisis situations, dealing with people who are dealing with crisis situations. I also focus and specialize on building healthy relationships, as well as honing in on personal development so that people can become the best them that they can be.
Okay.
Nice. Very nice.
Yeah. It's like, what do I not do?
Right.
Right.
So, first thing I heard you mention is being an author.
Yes.
Which is, it seems that's consistent across social media as well. That's what we see first. With the latest book that you released, the 7 Gems, I want to make sure I get it right. 7 Gems of Glowing Up, a mental health approach to self-care.
Yes, that's actually my 4th book. I released another book after that one.
Okay. I got you. So after that,
Yeah.
so
they're not in order on my website. So but my most prized possession is the 7 Gems to Glowing Up, because it is so full of knowledge in such a small package. But my last book was released on December 31st, 2019, and it was called I Just Need God. And it's a book of prayers.
Wow. I like that. I just like the title already.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So we can go in reverse. So with I Just Need God, a book of prayers. So when you say prayers, it's pretty much where someone can read along to it, and it's like, is it for people that kind of struggle with finding the words when they're praying?
That's exactly what it is. People who are just like, I don't even know how to pray. All you have to do is read it. And one of the good things I like about it is that it's available on ebook on Amazon. And so if you have an Amazon like Echo, like if you have an Echo Dot or something with Alexa, you can ask Alexa to read it to you. And Alexa will just read the prayers, and all you have to do is just bow your head.
Nice.
Really? Yeah.
Okay.
Ain't no excuses.
None. You can read it yourself, and they're literally they're like half a page long. So it's just open the book, say a prayer. You know, you don't know what to say, don't worry about it. I've already written it out for you, and they are scheduled by, or not scheduled, laid out by topics. Forgiveness, they're laid out by forgiveness. They're laid out by desperation, know. All of that, just being closer to God. So it's a lot that's in there, and that book is very small. In fact, I have to send out some ebooks today, so it's very small, but it's very powerful.
Wow,
I like that. Awesome. I remember being small, having the little pocket Bible, where, it's like I never could just get from front to back, but I knew I can go to this little pocket Bible in the back. It'll have a list of emotions, and I can point out the emotion, be like, I'm feeling that right now. And it's gonna tell me where to go to it in the Bible.
Yeah, it's very small. Let me see if I can get it down here, my little case. But yeah, it's extremely small. You put it to the side of my face, and you can see how small it is. Most books are like that big, like this one. This is one of my favorite author books. But it's very small, very thin, and it's just, full of prayers.
Nice. Very nice.
Thank you.
Yeah. We need that type of literature out here, because some people, they do get lost.
And just don't have the words to say. That's all it is to it. It's just they don't have the words to say. Sometimes I don't. I go in there and I just read it myself. Or I have Alexa read it to me.
Okay. Awesome. That's smart. With you being a relationship coach as well, I'm going to guess you probably have had people talk to you about them being conflicted, maybe with a partner not necessarily being as devoted to their spirituality as they were. If you wouldn't mind expounding on the role that plays in a relationship, and also, do you feel it's possible a relationship can work if two people believe in two different things as far as religion?
That's a good question. Let me start with that one. I personally believe, only because I've seen it. If I would have never seen it, I would have never believed it. I would have never promoted it, that two people can believe in two different things and make their relationship work. I think it's just a matter of understanding and two people being adults, and and if it works it has to work for both. One person can't be like, oh, I'm for it, and the other person saying I'm against it, and expect for it to work. That's not gonna happen. Not with that.
Yeah, it probably comes down to the type of person.
Yeah,
you are as a person.
And then and if they're open to it, some people personally, they're like, no, I'm not open to that. A person has to at least believe the same thing I do. You know what I mean? Right. So that's that part. The first part of your question, a lot of relationships are not founded on spirituality. A lot of them aren't based off of that. Some people don't pray together. They don't do any of that together. So a lot of times their relationship doesn't really, they're not founded on that. So sometimes later down the line, one person may, be a little bit more closer to God than the other person. And then that could turn ugly, because that one person's like, you change it too much, or the person who's changing can bring that other person with them. So it really depends on the couple.
Yeah.
Got you.
Yeah.
Makes sense. It's interesting. When you said that made me think, I don't believe there's a time that me and my girl would be able to eat without the other being there to say grace first. We pretty much, for as long back as I can remember, we'll try to make sure that we can get that in together. If we and her are both present, it's just me and her eating, dinner at the crib, we're going to make sure we say it together before we dig in, because of things like that. Cause it's like, we want to make sure that we elevating at the same capacity.
Right.
And that's the foundation that you all set, that, now you can pass down that legacy to your children, and they know that that's something that's expected.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Yes.
Hey, take that to Jan.
I mean, me personally, with you, being a life coach and doing all the things you do for people, you're a blessing to people. How did that start for you? Like, did you go through things yourself? Like, who were you before that to bring you to where you're at now today?
That's a good question. That was good. The Lord spoke to you on that question.
That was
No, you know what? I didn't have a clue who I was before my traumatic experience. I didn't know what I liked. I knew what I liked, but I didn't have my own voice. I didn't have my own, I didn't have that because I didn't know. You know what I mean? I was very in a box. And that traumatic situation for me was my divorce. And once I went through my divorce, that's when, that's when my eyes began to start opening to a lot of different things. I started to think a little bit more outside the box. I began to become more experienced. I began to read more. I had noticed in my marriage that a lot of things that I did do growing up, I didn't do anymore. I used to love to read and write and journal and write poetry. And I don't remember one time I did that in my marriage, not one time, because after you get married, it becomes about your spouse and the children. And, and that's it. And you roll with that. But, you get lost in that, and then, and that's what happened with me. But the trauma was in the divorce. And then that helped me to open my eyes to a lot. Plus I got married really young.
Oh, okay.
So before that, I didn't know who I was, and so now going through that experience, that experience was like, I don't want anybody else to go through this. So what can I do to help prevent other people from going
I'm
through
going
that.
through this.
So
Yeah.
I went back to school and I got my degree in counseling.
Yeah.
And so that's when I was just like, this is where it's at. This is me. I had already had my own business. I had already had my own business mentoring young girls. So I knew some type of help would come out of that. But to go back to school and get my degree, and I struggled through that thing. I really did. But, you know, I got it. And that was I found out that was my passion. But I never would have found that out had I not experienced the trauma.
Right. And I went through, I was divorced. My divorce was final last year, September.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, my life has flipped upside down. That's a whole nother story.
Mm-hmm.
But like, I always try to tell people though, I haven't changed. I just became me. I found who I was. So
you walked into your purpose.
I hear that with you, where you finally realize, okay, this is who I am.
Yeah.
And then when you do that and you start loving that self-love is that'll take you so far.
Serious.
People don't even have a clue how far that'll take you when you start loving yourself and you start, that's knowing. And then you're like, it just becomes so clear. You know what I mean? Right. So I hear that in you. And I mean, I love it. I love it. And I can definitely relate. I definitely relate. And it's such a blessing for you to take that and continue to spread it. And you planting seeds everywhere. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So you being somebody that you have you're very grounded in spirituality. Have you ever caught yourself at the time where you knew like, okay, we need to get this divorce? Did you ever catch yourself like, man, am I going against everything that I believe in?
Absolutely.
Because that's something that I've always, you know, kind of had the understanding that there's no such thing as not working through when you get married.
Yeah, it was big. That's why I stayed a little bit longer than I should have.
They'll use that on you too. We supposed to work it now.
And I was in ministry at the time.
Oh wow.
So that made it even worse. You know what I mean? You're a minister and now you're getting a divorce. You know, who you gonna minister to? Who can you talk to? So I stopped, you know, because I was like, my ministry it's not gonna be effective if I am in something that I shouldn't be in. And I had to learn that for myself because other people were telling me not to.
Wow. And you got to learn that for yourself. That's when it becomes a relationship. You got to make sure your relationship is with God and not other people first.
Yeah.
And that right there, like, no, go through it. Because I need you to help some other people.
Yeah.
Before they do it. You know what I mean? Sometimes it's just to even catch someone else up before they do it. We got to take it on. We got to live. We might have to walk through that and do it. Like I tell my kids, let me go through it so y'all don't have to. So, you know, what I mean? I understand that completely. Sure. What, I don't mean to like get too personal, but
it's okay. I'll let you know if I choose not to answer.
Okay. All right. What was going on in the relationship besides you just not being you? Like, you know,
I'll have to start with saying it just wasn't meant to be. I made the decision knowing, literally hearing from God that and I did it anyway. So that taught me, the biggest lesson of all of that was that it taught me to listen to God in every decision, not just who I marry or anything, just in every decision. Just pray about things and really listen to him, even when it's against our own personal will, because he knows what's best for us.
Right. Okay.
Now, so you saying you knew it wasn't meant to be. Are you somebody that's a believer in the theory of somebody having a soulmate, where it's somebody that they feel is like ordained? You know what I'm saying? Like, this is a person that I am meant to spend my life with because it just makes so much sense on so many fronts that this has to be it.
Yes, I agree. I do. I believe in soulmates. I believe that some people are completely destined to be together. I'm also a believer in that sometimes we go through unnecessary things and then we eventually get to that soulmate. And it may take us a lot longer. Whereas if we would have just listened to the voice of God to begin with, you know, we'd be with our soulmate and we'd save ourselves a lot of heartbreak. You know what I mean? And then part of me, don't write this in stone, but part of me believe that, I hate to even say this because it goes against really what I believe, but this is just a little, you know how you have those small thoughts and you be pondering on it, like, you know, like, I don't really know if I believe that, but I think about it. So this is what that is. So I think about, do we have multiple soulmates for certain periods of time?
Wow.
Like, you know what I mean? Like,
wow.
This was my soulmate for this
that
decade.
That season.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, I think about that. I think about it. And I just be like,
that's a
because
good way of like, though, like, you know what I mean? So you don't gotta really drive yourself crazy about the mistakes. Anyway.
About one soulmate in this entire world.
Yeah,
so
like I messed it all
believe,
up.
Right. So you'd be like, you know, I believe that we may have seasonal soulmates. I cringe at it. You do? You know, girl, I gotta write that down. That might be another book, child.
Yeah, go ahead.
Seasonal soulmate.
Let me tell you why I gotta agree with you, and not just because it sounds good and all that, but dead serious. When the further you go, you realize. I talked to somebody today, and we talked. It was actually an ex from my past, and we talked about how things went and how it went bad, and like, you know, how did that happen? And he said, he was like, you know, but you know, sometimes you're supposed to go through certain things. So that's why I believe that, like, would I be prepared even for what I'm doing now today if I didn't go through all that?
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? Like,
because
would I be boring? I'd probably be boring. Ain't got nothing to do.
I know for sure I would not be half of the woman I am right now if I would not have went through that experience. I'm telling you, the way I think is different. You know, my style is different. The way I carry myself, everything about me is completely different. In some in bad ways also, because before my divorce, I was very giddy. I was very, everybody's gonna be my friend. Oh, it's a new person. Oh my God. You know, I see new people and I'm like, come give me a hug. Oh my God, we gotta be friends. You know, that's how I was. And then now, after my divorce, and then not with my divorce came the betrayal of, you know, some of my spiritual leaders that the church where I was in at that time. So it made me see people differently. I was like really shocked that people who are good people could have this bad in them, you know? And that made me look at everybody new. I could tell you I can call people right now and they will tell you they met me while I was going through my divorce and I was mean. And I was like, there's no way we are going to be friends. So go over there. And they were like, okay, the Lord spoke to me and said, well, go tell him I said we're not going to be friends.
Listen, when a woman's fed up, listen.
But you know, that trust, that betrayal, all that affects you. It affects the very being of who you are, you know, and it makes you, to me, it made me grow up because it made me see people for who they are. But I also had to learn that I have to give people the opportunity to show me that they're a good person or that they're a bad person. I cannot go into situations assuming that everybody's bad or that everybody's good.
Right.
So I'm gonna go a little all over the place, but I know you're sharp enough to keep up. Speaking of growing up and the whole seasonal soulmate thing, right? We actually met each other through me being a client of yours, where you actually were a relationship coach for my fiance and I, and you might not remember.
I do remember. I just can't. If you didn't say it, I can't say it because that's, you know, confidentiality.
But so, I remember you speaking of growing up, and I remember saying, like, I know there's some growing up to do, and I know that, ironically, right around the age that I'm at right now was when I said that I know that version of me is the one that would get it. And it was weird. It was almost like I was advocating for my own immaturity at the time. But would you say it's a possibility that maybe I have that foresight, and meaning that I know that this is when I'm at my, peak of maturity, this is who I'm going to spend the rest of my life with. And I want to bring it back to, do you feel the same way a woman could be with a guy that's in prison? And he's like, are you going to wait on me? Do you feel there's a such thing as men out here that are asking women to wait on them to grow up?
Yeah, I do believe that. I do believe that. Now it's up to that woman. It's her decision whether she wants to put up with that immature boy for that long period of time, because I do believe that was a little bit of insight, but I also give you credit for being honest. And then on the second, because anybody will look at that and be like, well, he just don't want to grow up right now. He just putting it off, his maturity level off.
Right.
But, it also could be insight for you to say, I know who I am right now, and where I am right now is, one, not where I want to be, in the future. And then two, I will be this person who I really want to be. And I think that's the good part of it, because we always look at it in a negative side and be like, oh, he just don't want to grow up. And it could have been that, but at least you were honest about it. And then it's on her to make that decision whether she wants to stick through that with you or not.
Got you. I thank God she did.
Yeah, I thank God she did. She's a very strong woman.
Right. Yeah. Well, with that being said, I couldn't do it. And I'm a real story. I mean, I was with my ex-husband for 5 years. We got married the last year, and we ended up separating right before he went to prison. Right before. And I'm gonna be on. I don't care about what I got. Yeah, he is a serial cheater. That's what I call him. And that's just what it is. I mean, it was out of control cheating, though. That's something I've never even witnessed before in my life. I mean, and I tried to, like you said, you become whatever it is they need. I did it all trying to make it work. The whole, the threesomes, the everything, I don't know what to do, whatever, you know what I'm saying? And it got so sickening. I mean, I was sick, almost died. You know what I mean? Like it was bad. I was having a breakdown. Now, with that being said, and him going to prison, and we were separated beforehand, he is making it his duty to make it seem like, oh, she just didn't want to ride with me because of the time.
Yeah, and that's going to be a defense mechanism for him to be able to put it off on you so that he doesn't have to take responsibility.
And then it was crazy because when he went, and it was like, okay, you're dealing with something big. Mind you, we got children together, so this is big for everybody. So I'm going to support you. But then he brought the women in there with him. They, you know what I mean? So it was just at a point in time, like, I guess what I would ask, like, I gave up. And I'm at the point of, in what you witnessed and you being professional you are in this situation, I mean, is it fair to say, like, once a cheater, always a cheater? Or, I mean, I didn't see any type of sign of changing. So I'm ready.
Yeah. Well, I don't agree with once a cheater, always a cheater.
Yeah, I don't either.
I don't agree with that because I believe in the power of change. To say once a cheater, always a cheater is almost saying you don't believe in God, because that's saying like you don't believe in change and you don't believe that God can change a person. So I will never say that. I will say that behavior is hard to break.
Very hard.
That's what I would say. And I also would want to enlighten you and give you this little bit of information to not feel so guilty and not beat yourself up. And because that's what his goal is to make you feel guilty for leaving him in the worst part of his life, and now he's gone away.
I get that every week.
I'm sure you do. But part of the assignment is for you to feel guilty. If you feel guilty, then you feel low. If you feel low, then you're not high and you're not up. And if you're not up, then you're not doing the work that you need to do.
Exactly. And to be honest with you, I just wanted to know what you thought, because that was always something that said, once a cheater, always a cheater. You always hear that. And I wouldn't have stayed that long if I actually believed it. Yeah. And yes, I do. But it was my time to check out, and to be real with you, I am at peace.
Yeah, good for you.
Good for you. I'm at peace. And he doesn't bother me when he says it, because I do know the truth. You know what I mean?
Good for you.
And that's for anybody to hear out here. If you decide to take care of yourself first, it's okay. You don't have to worry, the chance. And if it is to be, it'll happen again, maybe. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, I feel I'm a big person on, like, if you talking about taking care of you and loving you first, go ahead.
Go right ahead.
Go ahead. Ain't nothing wrong with that.
So that's a perfect segue when you're talking about being low and high into the release of the 7 Gems.
Yeah.
So if you wouldn't mind diving into that book and just kind of like, summarizing what would someone get out of that if they were to purchase it like immediately? What are going to be the first few takeaways that are going to jump out at them?
Well, the first thing is the book is about self-care. So that's the first takeaway. So if you want to, many of us don't know because we weren't taught. We weren't taught self-care. We weren't taught that we need to take care of ourselves. Right. We are taught to take care of our little sisters, our little brother. You're going to look out for your little brother. Y'all go outside, watch your little sister, make sure she's okay. But when they come back in the house, do you say, okay, because you had that pressure on you, go take a mental break. Go take a break and take care of yourself. We don't teach our children that. We weren't taught that. So that's why taking care of ourselves is always something that we put on the back burner because it was never really introduced to us, I try to teach my children all the time, make sure you take care of you,
right.
Teach my daughter, make sure your toes look good, honey. Make sure you smell good. Make sure you have this, make sure you have that. My son, make sure your haircut, make sure you look good. I mean, outside of COVID, because nobody can get their haircut then, but we have to teach that. So if anybody who's interested in learning how to take care of themselves and not just externally, the book goes into internal self-care. I hit people with a little sideline when I talk about some of the things I do talk about, like boundaries, how creating boundaries is a part of self-care. And you never would have thought that. You never would have thought that creating boundaries is a part of self-care. Nobody really thinks that, but when you think about it, creating a boundary helps me protect me. That's taking care of me. You know what I mean? And so that's one of the benefits, or two of the benefits in 7 Gems to Glowing Up.
Yeah, I guess you answered my next question, I guess, even before I could ask, about what do you say to people, who say, well, because of, the state of the economy, the world we're living in, I can't afford self-care.
Oh, yes, you can.
And that's something I think that some people in our community, they struggle with finding other ways of self-care without, going outside of their budget. And when you spoke on the internal things like the boundaries and stuff like that.
I think
all that stuff is free.
I think internal starts, it starts internally. I don't think you can skip to, I dressed nice today. And I didn't take care of the inside of me. I'm big on that. So please get all the free stuff first.
Yes, because care of ourselves doesn't always have to mean you got to get a pedicure, you got to get a manicure, you got to get a massage, and that's what the book addresses. I address that when we hear self-care. That's the first thing we think of. I need a manicure, I need a pedicure, I need a massage. Right. Let me go get my hair done. That's the first thing we think of, but it's quite the contrary. We have to begin with the internal parts.
And with that, I tell people I'm big on it because I'm a believer in, if you actually take care of your inside, it'll take care of your outside.
It's true.
You drink enough water and exercise and deal with your stress levels and all that, man, you'll start glowing. You don't need no makeup. You don't need no makeup.
It's so true. I talk about that.
I've proven that. And I see that. That's why I knew what you were going with. And I just wanted to kind of, for anybody watching, understand for real, you really won't even have to spend that much money if you take care of that first.
It's true. It's so true. So true.
Yeah, I seen on your website, you were speaking of like foods that help, with our stress levels. Yeah. And things like that. Is that something, all this information that you have about self-care internally, foods and things of that nature, are those things that you felt would have made things possibly work out in your first marriage? Or do you think that It wouldn't.
I think
okay.
it would have made it easier. I think it would have never worked out because it wasn't meant to be.
Yeah.
That's my answer to that. But I think it would have made it easier for me to cope with it if I had known all of those things. It would have made it very easier for me.
Got you. Okay. That's interesting. Do you feel with a lot of people, they have these things, whether it comes to like astrology or dating apps, people feel like, finding love is like formulaic. I just wonder, what are your thoughts on that? Do you feel like, it makes a difference if someone says, oh my God, this person is whatever sign.
Right.
Do you feel like that plays a part in compatibility?
I do. Honestly, I do. On a natural level, on a spiritual level, that's going to be first. I believe that God, is going to put us with whom he desires. Well, let me say this. I believe he has a plan for who we should be with. Sometimes we just deviate from that plan. Okay. So on a spiritual level, that's that. On a natural level, I really do believe that compatibility, that's just the natural part. They'll tell you, I'm an Aries, and an Aries is supposed to be more so compatible with, I think, a Sagittarius, if I'm not mistaken. And that's just basically, this personality is more compatible with this personality. Your guys will, you both fire signs, or you're a fire sign, you're a water sign, you equate, things like that. So I believe on a natural level that I don't live and die by it, though. Trust me, I don't live and die by it. But I have learned through experience the different type of personalities based on their sign and what kind of works for me. I know who I could get along with, who's easier for me to get along with, and who's a little tougher for me to get along with. So I believe that on a natural level. But if God says, hey, you got to be with a Cancer, and I'm going to be like, okay, fine.
What's wrong with us? I'm a Cancer.
I was talking about him earlier too. I was
like, Are you a Cancer, Alex?
Yeah, I'm a Cancer. Barely. June 23rd.
You're a crybaby.
But they gangster at the same time. I'd be like, how you tough and want to cry all at the same time? God.
Tell me, so tough, but they are so sensitive.
Bro,
so sensitive.
Tell me, my best friend / cousin is one, and I deal with her every day. And then my youngest baby is one. So then I got the two of them, and I'm like,
it's true. I strongly believe it. I do believe it. But like I said, I don't live and die by it. You know what I mean? Some people live and die by astrology.
For sure.
I don't. I live and die by spirituality, though.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So only because we are in election year, you don't have to, express your personal views on politics. But I wonder, do you feel like that is something that has to be aligned for a relationship to work? Do you feel it's possible that someone can be divided as far as their political views and still coincide?
I kind of put that in the same category as religion, two people who are adult enough to say, this won't run our relationship. And if we're adult enough, we can do it. And some people are like, no, they have to believe what I believe, so I believe the same. My response will be the same as the religious. Yes, the religious response. Absolutely.
Okay. Gotcha. That makes sense.
I've seen on your website, I was I've seen it mentioned a couple times about suicide.
Yeah.
And how you support, that and whatever. But what can you tell us anything about that? Because I've dealt with it personally.
Have you?
Either myself and family. I have a brother that suffers greatly all the time
with depression.
With depression and a lot of different things that they've diagnosed him with. So can you speak on that a little bit? I mean, I just, for everybody that's watching, I would love for someone to feel. Yeah.
Suicide is definitely one of those things that, just like divorce, people don't want to talk about it. We know it's there.
Exactly.
We heard about it.
Right.
But we don't like to talk about it.
Exactly.
Especially suicide. It's the 10th leading cause of death in the United States of America. 10th.
Wow.
And the third one is heart disease. So you think later down the line, people are dying from heart disease, you can kind of make sense of it. And then you get down the line and say the 10th reason of everybody dying or people dying is by suicide. That's kind of scary. Yeah. That means that only 7 numbers away, one is uncontrolled and one is controlled, right? So they're controlling, they have the option to choose to take their own life. One of the main reasons why people do that is because of loss of hope. Yes. When we lose hope in ourselves, when we lose hope in a situation, when we lose hope in life, right? It's a signal to our brain that says, what's the point? What's the point? What is the point? Right. There's nothing here for me. There's nothing there for me. This is not going to work. That's not going to work. No relationship worked. Blah, 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 blah. Reason I know that is because in my first and third book, I talk about how I had suicide ideation where I thought about it. I had suicidal thoughts. I was considering it. I was thinking about what would it be like? What would I do? How could I get out of this situation? And you think about how low a person has to go to where they are so stressed out that their only option becomes taking their own life. Ooh, yeah. And it's scary because I face that as a crisis counselor. I face that often. People are calling me because they have no hope. Yes. No hope. And in the state of our world now, just within the last 6 months, I'm curious to know, because I do a lot of research. I'm curious to know what the numbers are going to be like. Because people lost their jobs this year, and that's one of the main reasons why people lose suicide. The loss of hope is the last step. Situations lead up to that. Loss of a job, loss of marriage, loss of a child, loss of some, and they get to a point to where, there's no hope. There's nothing else. People are losing their houses. People are losing their jobs, their cars.
Why am I here?
Exactly.
This ain't gonna work,
Exactly. And so I've been trained. I went through a whole weekend of training for suicide to get my national suicide prevention specialist certification. Okay. And then I did a second one again a couple of years ago. And it was hard. Well, I didn't sleep the entire weekend.
It's hard just hearing you talk right now. I'm like,
yeah, but imagine, and if you said you've been there before, but imagine how many people in the world you walk by in the grocery store that you're sitting next to in church, or probably not now because of COVID, but that you sat next to on a bus, in school, at work, people like just standing up at the microwave in the break room, and you think about how many people feel the way that I just described.
Well, my daughter's stepmother did commit suicide. Actually, it's my ex-husband's last wife. We actually were going through trauma on both ends and found each other. But it was just, you know what I mean? Yeah. It was just two people broken for real. Yeah, and that's how we absolutely did it. But so I understand because I knew her. That's my daughter's stepmother. So you know what I mean? I definitely, and we're talking about a smiling face every time you see this person. So I do firsthand understand, and I know how it feels to see someone and then know like, wow, that's what they're going through. And even for myself, for my brother, whatever, so it's a big, like you said, it's a big issue, and it's an issue that no one likes to talk about, but I seen that and I was like, that's me. This is the place. This is a safe place, and that's what I want the show to be about. A safe place
absolutely.
for us to talk about the real stuff That, you know, everything we do and what we look like on Instagram, that's cool. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
it's cute.
there's some real things.
Right. And imagine even just stating alone Instagram. I mean, how many people are on Instagram posting these pictures, and they're all, and we idolize them.
Yeah.
We look at their pictures. Oh my God, I want a booty like that. Oh my God, look at her teeth. Look at her boobs. And you know, the next week she could have committed suicide, or she has suicide ideation.
And thinking about it at that moment, you know.
And so educationally, more men commit suicide than women. And when men do commit suicide, they commit suicide more violently than women. They use guns, things like, women are probably going to be taking pills or something a little less violent. But men typically are the ones that commit suicide more than a woman.
I just I got my QPR certificate like about a month and a half ago.
I'm sorry,
my mom,
QPR? I'm sorry, real
she,
quick.
QPR is question, persuade, respond.
Okay. I just wanted to know so I know exactly what.
Yeah, my mom, she attempted suicide twice within the last 5 years. And,
wow.
And it's weird because when I was younger, I literally told family members, I was like, I think my mom is suicidal. I literally said, because I could tell where she was allowing a lot of things to just, you know, the walls were closing in on her, and she wasn't pushing back. You know, a little bit of that pressure probably came from me being like, hey, you know, work things out with my pops, you know, for me, you know, because I was caught up in, you know, the TV version of a family.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, well, it's supposed to be like this. It's supposed to work out no matter what. So she held on probably a little bit longer than she should have.
Yeah.
You know, but what do you say to people that might come to you and say, well, you know, I'm struggling to balance family life, sex life, career life, you know?
Yeah.
Because the thing is, as I'm older and have gotten certain family members to open up, that's something that I think my parents struggle with, trying to juggle all three of those things at once.
Right.
You know?
And I have clients currently that I counsel with on a weekly basis. And I've had a few of them that has come to me. And those are the type of clients that I deal with. Your everyday people, the ones who just want to know, listen, just tell me how to balance this stuff, man. I can't, just help me, man. Just help. And so there's not one clear cut answer to that. I'd love to be able to say, here's the answer, you know, but that's the reason why I ask, you know, my clients to sign up for my services, because it's not just a one. I have to dig through. I have to find out. And then once I learn their personality and what works for them, then we could put together a plan. We could put together a plan of action to help you balance with that, you know, starting with organization, you know, and then I can't tell one person how to organize their life and then give the same organization skill to a next person. You know what I mean?
Different. Everybody's different. Everybody even has a different reasoning, you know?
Absolutely. Everybody, and because balancing a family, it's hard AF, bro. Like, it's hard because you have people who have, not only do they have their own personalities and everything, but social media is a part of our lives so heavily now that it dictates a lot of things. You know, sometimes it dictates what time you go to sleep. You know, it dictates what time you wake up in the morning. It dictates if you're going to work out or you're going to scroll Instagram. You know what I mean? So balancing a family, you know, is hard, especially when you have blended families, because you don't have just you don't have just husband, wife, child. You have husband, wife, child, baby mama, baby daddy, you know what I mean? Then their grandparents, and then all of that. So it's a lot. It's so much. And kudos for the people who make it work. Kudos to the people who struggle through and still wake up the next day and be like, all right, let's go, let's get this. You know what I mean? Like, it's tough, you know? Very tough. So my answer to that would just be, I'd have to really evaluate the person in order to help them with balance in their life.
Okay,
Right.
I'm gonna give two different extremes in the public eye. You take the Kardashian family, right? There's somebody that, regardless of how people may feel about them, they get to spend, it seems, their waking hours together, holidays, you name it, right? And then you take somebody like T.I., where he just recently started that reality show, The Family Hustle, with his family a few years back. And he said flat out, spending so much time, he spoke of it in an interview, spending so much time everywhere else, he's like, this is a great way to integrate. Do you feel that it is a good idea to integrate, maybe family and business together? Because my dad always told me when I was little, he said, son, you don't get your honey where you make your money. That's what he used to tell me. Right. But when you see that happen, it makes you wonder, like, man, what if you did integrate certain things when it comes to your family and say, hey, let's do this together because we're able to bridge the gap.
The key word to answering that question is going to be one word, and it'll sum everything up: balance. It's really about balance. If you can go to work with your spouse and you guys have say you have a building somewhere where you can physically go to work and like you guys work together there, right? Then you come home. Now, the balance comes from, okay, we're home now. So now we have to put on home roles, whether the husband is the one that does all the cooking and cleaning and she's the one that washes the car and takes the, if that's their role, they have to do that, because some people roles may reverse where the wife may be the boss at work and the husband is not. And then they come home and that role have to reverse. As long as they have balance with that, it'll work.
Okay. If I'm hearing you right, it's like, I guess it's so funny you say that. I guess it's almost like the way you handle like friendship. I had a friend of mine, I do music, he does music, and he came up to visit. And I literally told myself I wasn't going to ask him, hey, let's work on anything unless he invites it. Like if he says it, then we go to it. But I want to try to be a host to the best of my ability. So I get what you're saying.
Yeah, got to have balance. You got to know what role you're working in. You know what I mean? Like I said, the woman could be the boss at work.
Right.
But if they're working together and she come home, she has to switch her role. And sometimes that can be difficult because she been telling him what to do all day.
Yeah.
And then come home and now he get to be the boss. So it's all about balance. But for some families that works because now I can keep my money in my family. That's my legacy. Right. You know what I mean? Gotcha. And some family members aren't like-minded. The Kardashians, all of them are like-minded. They have to be. They have to all be like-minded in order to have worked together. Now, I'm sure it hasn't been peaches and cream the whole time, but look how long it's lasted. It's been years. Yeah. And they're still
doing something
working
right.
together. Right.
Something right.
So, you have to have like-minded people. And then there are certain family members who they don't mind just working for somebody else all their life. I personally am not like that. I'm in a plan of motion right now to try to figure out what do I need to do? How much money do I need to make to be able to come off my job? And how much longer is it going to take me? Is it within the next 3 years? Is it within the next 5? But those are the moves that certain people are making that some family members might not be thinking that way.
Yeah.
Wow. Man, it sounds like sports. It sounds like you mapping out like a playbook.
It's true, man. That's how, because life is so busy now.
Crazy. Yeah.
It's so busy now. I have to write out everything. I have a schedule that I have to try to go by. And if a monkey wrench gets thrown in that schedule, I'm kind of off balance. I'm like, and people laugh at me because if it ain't on my calendar, if I didn't have an alarm clock for it to go off tonight at 8:50, I would have forgot all about this.
That was me.
But that's just the way life is, and you have to do what works for you.
The conversation of open marriage, it was something that was circulating around, our community. We didn't really hear that a lot in our community ever. I just wanted to know, what are your thoughts on that? Just in general.
Personally, I don't agree with it. I think you're asking for trouble. I really do. I think you're asking for trouble. when you are openly inviting people into your relationship. Because the only reason I say that is because if you have two people, person A and person B, so let's call them husband and wife, and then you got person C. So husband and wife have their own dynamic. And then you have person C or D, because open marriage means that both of them can, flip around. So you got person C and person D. So they have husband and wife got their own dynamic. Then you add in person C. Now you have husband and wife dynamic. You have wife and C dynamic. You have husband and C dynamic. And then you have husband and wife and C dynamic. That's too much. I ain't even got the D yet.
Right. And see, we already just discussed life is just too much by itself.
I ain't even got the D. I hadn't even incorporated.
Don't even go to D. Don't even go to D. Don't even go to D. I can't because please don't go to D. We ain't got no.
But you see what I'm saying? Like, I just think that now, and the reason why that becomes difficult is because husband may want to be a little bit more dynamical. I think I made that word up with person C, and wife is saying, you're asking for trouble, man. Unless both of them, and I still think that at the beginning, people can make an agreement. You can sign a contract if you want to. If you see an indecent proposal, they had a contract.
It's been so long since I remember the movie when I was a kid. I haven't seen it in a long time. That's the movie with Demi Moore with the money. Yeah. Okay, I'm with you. Okay.
So Demi Moore and Woody Harrelson are husband wife. Okay. Then you get rich guy who's person C in this case, and he offers them $1 million to sleep with her.
Yeah.
$1 million. Okay, cool. We can do some things with $1 million. We can pay this off. We can buy this, blah, 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 blah. Mm-hmm. And what happens? Wife falls for person C. Husband left all, it's just too much.
Great example.
It's too much. And that was a contract. They agreed. They both had an agreement, but something went wrong there. And that's why I say you're asking for. So if you're going to put yourself in that position, you have to be prepared for the absolute worst.
That's a fact. I'm sorry. And I was there. I already been open about that, and I don't mind.
Right.
And I man, that was really me trying to
make it work.
Wanted me to do. Yeah. You know what I mean? I gotta admit that. It's just no. Yeah. At the end of the day, no. That's like you said. Life is already hard.
It's hard with two people.
It's hard by yourself. I'm single now.
It's hard by yourself.
Everybody leave me alone. You know what I mean?
Toya don't believe in relationships at this very moment.
It's not that. It's not that. I believe I owe myself some time. Yeah. And I believe I owe myself a lot of stuff because my trauma started as a child. So I never got to be me. Yeah. You know what I mean? So I won't, and I don't push that on people. I like to clown here and there because that's just me. But no, I'm not against it because I like people too. And I'm also because I used to be in my little playaways at one point. You know what I'm saying? Right. I wanted to ask you about that too. But but I went through that too. But now I'm at the point like, don't touch me, come like you. Right. So it's like I don't like nobody. It's just that I know
yourself. You know your limits.
I owe myself some shit, and I'm finna get it.
Good for you. I mean? Good for you. I applaud you 1,000%.
What you were saying with your playaways?
My playaway. Nah, because I was just curious on what you take about like. Men, people always just, especially with I don't know if you heard about the whole thing with the Megan Thee Stallion and Cardi B with their new song coming out. Mm-hmm. And now it's a big uproar about women and we should be da-da-da. And what you think about people just like labeling or feeling as if as women, like we all done been through what they call hoe phase. Mm-hmm. Is that something you think like all women have actually been through or... Like what you because it's going on right now. They just right now I feel like we being attacked.
I could be only because everybody's so woke now. Everybody's so woke. So all of this stuff. Yeah. I mean, We've been dealing with this stuff from a long time ago. Luke had songs like these back then. They ain't saying nothing. Well, they did. They took him to court because he was the first ones that was actually coming out with songs as vulgar as they were. And so the only difference now is that it's two women talking about it. When the truth of the matter is they've been singing about this stuff since the 70s. They just had key words. You ever heard the song? I think I don't know who's singing. I want to say Roberta Flack. Come on and ring my bell.
Yeah, I remember that.
Ring my bell. She's talking about an orgasm.
Right, exactly. Wow. Go ahead.
And it's just, they just changed the words. Now it's just a little bit more open. But to answer your question, I do believe, I don't want to say every woman, but I will say most women do go through that phase. They go through that phase because a couple of reasons. They feel like these men used me. Okay, now I got to get them back. Okay, so that's one. Yep. And number two is I'm gonna do me. If I want to do it, I want to see, because we're taught as women, there's certain things that you don't do. You're a lady, you know? And so when things get done to us, now it's like, well, I'm just going to do it because I want to do it now. And I have the freedom to do it now. And that's what I'm going to do. And so that's where that, that freedom comes in to play. If I say it, as long as you protect yourself, it's your decision. And I can't say don't ever do it. You shouldn't.
Because I've been through that, but I'm older now.
So have I.
That the first time when I deal with someone or I talk to people, I speak on freedom a lot because I know where I'm at in my mind. Mm-hmm. And I think people have to understand being free is not being attached to anybody. And like you said, it's the self-care on setting boundaries.
Right.
And that's freedom to me. Like when I thought I was being free to do me and do that, I realized that I was still being a slave to something.
Absolutely.
Whether it was hurt and get back or
good point.
Whatever. So I had to realize that I still wasn't free. And it wasn't
good for you.
So now I'm like, I'm okay. I'm not going to sleep with you because you like me so much. I'm not gonna, you know what I mean? So it takes growth and it takes a lot to go through a lot. I've been through a lot, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it took a lot for me to get here. But for women, I be wanting them to understand, like, we hurt and it's okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
It's okay because we get hurt, you know what I mean? But the best freedom and the best get back is taking back yourself.
Yeah, I agree. And then to Cardi B's and Megan, Meg Thee Stallion, whatever her name is, to their defense, I heard a video just a couple of days ago of Cardi saying, you know what, when I first came out, I came out with this certain type of song, but people didn't want to hear it. They told me they wanted to hear this type of song. So here I am. We done come out with this type of song, and now we getting even more pushback. Like, what do y'all want?
Her husband and his cousins, uncle, they all talk about it in their songs all the time.
And what's the difference? The only difference is that they're two girls singing about the same stuff men been singing about for years.
Right? I remember you mentioned at a seminar one time, you said if someone is friends with your spouse, they can come sit down and eat dinner with me and
I said
spouse.
this?
Yeah, you remember that?
Okay.
You said that. You said he was like, what? It was like you were speaking of people that were married and they had a friend of the opposite sex. And you were like, well, yeah. You like, well, if someone's a friend of my husband, you know, then she can come and have dinner with us. And then at that point, we know that's a friend, you know, because this person, you comfortable coming into my place.
Absolutely.
And, you know, we're breaking bread together.
Absolutely.
What are your thoughts on some people that may have friends that are of the opposite sex, and maybe it might not be the same orientation? So say there's a woman that has a male friend, and the male friend, you know, his interest is in males. Do you feel there's a such thing as a boundaries that should be set there whenever someone has a male friend? You know what I'm saying? But that male friend.
Go ahead. But the male
friend.
Friend,
like say it's a male and his wife, You know, she has a friend of hers that's a guy, and his interest isn't necessarily in women. His interest may be in men.
Oh, yeah.
So there's boundaries there, only because you see sometimes the dynamic with those friendships. It seems to be a lot of physical affection, I should say.
Right. Gay guys are very touchy-feely, and not all of them. I don't want to categorize
not
them,
all
but
of them. Yeah, no.
That's the dynamic that has been shown a lot and on display, that, you know, a girl who has her gay guy best friend, you know, they're always touchy-feely, and, you know,
she can
get naked in front of him. Yeah, that's where I was going. And it doesn't do anything for him. Now, that's going to come down to the level of trust for the husband and the wife, because the husband may say, I don't care if this guy's gay as, you know, as RuPaul or whoever. I don't even know if he's gay, but if they don't like it and they're not comfortable,
that's what should matter.
And if he's saying, hey, I'm not comfortable, regardless, because at the end of the most guys are like, at the end of the day, he's still a man. You know what I mean? And so most guys are like that, and they're not having it. It takes a lot, and I'll say this from experience, because I had a guy who's best friend of mine. I had a couple of them growing up. And one of the guys he's very attractive and build, and, you know, nice teeth and pretty eyes and all of this. And I'm like, you know, people don't believe that, you know, we're just friends. And, after a while, it was like a lot of my guys that I was dating, they were just like, nah, I ain't doing that, because y'all got to be doing something. And I'm like, but we're not. And I'm like, why? Because he's handsome or he's good looking? Like, you know, I'm like, are you that insecure? And it's like, some people just can't get past it. Like, it just depends. I think it's a conversation and a level of trust. That's what it's all come down to. Because me as a woman, I believe that guys can have girls as best friends. And if she doesn't want to come around me and she's your best friend, we got a problem. Because it may be your interest is not in her, but hers may be in you. Right. And she's not as honest. You know what I mean? Because like I said, like he said that I said at the seminar that I don't remember. But it's, you know, it sounds like me. If you have a friend of the opposite sex, he should be able to come to dinner with no problem. Bring your other person if you want to. If y'all friends, it shouldn't be nothing.
No problem.
None at all. Do I believe that opposite sex, you know, people can be best friends and nothing happen? Yes, I absolutely do believe that, because I do too. And and nothing has ever, all of them that I've had, you know. And it's just that, you know, it's just that simple.
Agreed.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not gonna harass you no more tonight, but I did.
Okay.
But I did want to know something. I noticed when I started reading about your institute you have, and the name of it is Ruth Catherine.
Yes.
And for one, I love the name Ruth because that's my favorite part of the Bible. That story.
Yeah. Good.
That's my girl. But I also noticed that it's named after your grandmother, and I'm a grandma's girl. I was raised by my grandma, so that touched me, and I just wanted to know, like, what is your relationship with your grandmother for you to name your institute after her? I just thought. Well,
I appreciate you asking that. It means a lot to me. It really does. My grandmother, this is my paternal grandmother, so she's my dad's mom.
Yeah.
And she is, if I wasn't with my mother, I was with my grandmother. That's how our relationship was. If I wasn't with my mom, y'all know I was with my grandma at church, you know, sitting up under all the old ladies and learning everything and listening to them. I mean, just being up under them. Like the funniest thing I remember as a little girl was this lady said, one of my grandmother's friends, she's like, yeah, I heard brother so-and-so died. And my grandma said, yeah, girl, he died last week. And she said, I wonder why he didn't tell nobody he was going to do that. I was like, as a kid, I remember scratching my head like,
that is so funny.
those are the moments that, anyway. those are the moments that I cherish. Those are the moments that
Yes.
you know, made me who I was. So my grandmother used to make me not make me, but I'd sit on the counter and watch her cook. And she was from Florence, South Carolina, and everything Southern she could make from scratch.
Yeah.
And I would sit on the counter. I learned how to cook just from observing her. She never said, okay, you got to put this amount of so-and-so in this. And it was just, she would say, give me a couple of eggs out the refrigerator.
Okay.
And it was just throwing stuff in, and it would
Right.
just come out as this masterpiece.
Yes.
And so I had to learn by watching her. And I wish I was smart enough at the time to write down this stuff. A lot of the stuff I learned from her that I still have, but like her homemade sweet potato pie and how she used to make the crust, I had no idea. I had to I had to get someone else's recipe, but it was to die for. So anyway, that's the type of relationship. While I was sitting on the counter, she would tell me stories about her growing up. She would tell me stories about my dad growing up, and it was a time for us to build a relationship. And then she would also talk to me about being a woman, how women are supposed to do this, do that, and how we become into our womanhood. We were best friends. We were really close. I was always with her. And growing up, I was always like, when I get grown, she used to babysit kids for money. When I get grown, you're going to watch my kids too. And I'm going to come over here all the time and da-da-da-da. And she started getting Alzheimer's when I was about 12. And I stayed with her. And I used to have to wake up in the morning and prick her finger and take her blood sugar on my way to school.
Wow.
And I never had I love drama. I couldn't be in drama because I had to come back home and take care of my grandma because my dad would be out in the streets working or with women. And so long story short, she started losing her mind basically. And a lot of stuff started happening. So when I was about my sophomore year, I moved back with my mother because I was staying with my grandma. And I moved back with my mother. And she just started getting worse. And when I was 18, my dad's wife now, she said, you might want to come and see your grandma, And I was like, yeah, I'm going to come see her. I had just graduated high school. And it was I graduated on a Tuesday. I went to go see her on a Wednesday. That Monday was Memorial Day. That Tuesday I graduated. That Wednesday I went to go see her, and I told her I graduated high school. You helped me through this. And she was really sick. She was half asleep or whatever. And she just started moving around and mumbling and stuff. And that Wednesday I left. I prayed with her and I left. And that Saturday morning they called me and told me she was dead.
Right.
And so,
Take your time.
I know, right? That
it's real life.
That pouring into was what I wanted to do to other girls, because sitting on her counter, and now I have a picture of her on my counter. That's where she stays, because that's where I was when she would teach me these things. So, Thanksgiving is my favorite holiday because I like to cook. Now Therapy for me is cooking. I cook just so I could feel better. And then I'd be like, all right, y'all come get this food. And then I start,
everybody.
Bean, green, peas.
Connection with her. Like I have that with my grandma.
Yep.
I'm feeding the whole family and they come and eat and all that. And I just like, grandma, I'm just taking on what you.
And that's what it is for me, so that's the reason why I named my company after her, because what she did for me, all that pouring into, and now my dad tells me when he gets really sentimental, he's like, you are really your grandmother. Like she literally just poured herself into you. And like I walk around with muumuus and slides on all day. Like, I'm literally like 67 years old for real.
Same life right now.
So, but that's the main thing why I named my company after her, was because of the pouring that she did for me. Was what I wanted to do to other people.
That's beautiful.
You
I just had to hear it. I seen it and I immediately.
I know. I'm sorry, it went from A to Z, but that's the whole concept of it.
That's all I want. That's everything. I mean, that really I don't know how I sensed it anyways, but I guess because of my own, it's the same as your experience. Same as that my dad's, all that whole thing. And when I seen it, I said, I want to know, because I'm a grandma's girl.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, so I want to know what this is, you know?
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, that's awesome.
We're more than grateful.
Yes, you're such a blessing.
Thank you.
Something we do with each of our guests before they go, you know, they say that, you know, we all are some of the 5 people that we communicate with the most.
Mm-hmm.
So if you wouldn't mind shouting out the 5 people in your life who you feel cultivate what we see from you today.
And just 5, somebody finna be mad. My mom, number 1.
Okay.
I mean, I want to say my children because they do add that, but we won't count them as the 5, but just know that they're in there. Okay. All right. My mom, my dad, I have mentors. I have a spiritual mentor. I would say her name is Ravonda Nesbitt. I got 2 more. Yikes. One of my friends named Miguel, we went to college together. He's so smart. He's too smart for his own good, but he's so smart. But the reason why he helps me or why he's in that top 5 is because the knowledge that he has, he gives it away. He really does. He gives it to me, at least, you know. I would probably say my best friend, Stormy. My best friend, Stormy. Me and her had the same birthday, same year. I'm older though. Same birthday, but I'm about to fall back, and she's this chair right here. She is like, she's gonna hold me down. Like, she's a nurse, so when I'm sick, she really don't take care of me. She just gives me the knowledge, and then she'd be like, you get up and do it. And I'm like, what's the point of you being a nurse? Like, what the heck is that about? Like, but she's hard on me, but that girl we've been friends for over 20. My son is 18, so I want to say about 22 years, probably.
She's a day one for real.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so I would say her. That would probably be my 5.
And your parents, you know, your parents is like your kids, so we don't got to count them. If you got 2 more that's on your mind.
Oh, okay, cool. All right. So, dang, now I don't really know. Who else do I go to? It's certain people who I have to talk to when I'm going through my cousin, she's like my best friend and my sister. Her name is Tequila. Okay. You can see why she's like my favorite person. But that girl holds me down. Like, right. She's wise. She's so pretty. Like, I have a picture of me and her when I was like 8. And she was like 15 or something, and she was so much bigger than me. And I was just so like, oh my God, my big cousin. And to be honest with you, I'm still like that to this day. I get around her and I be like, oh my God, my big cousin, you know. But she inspires me. Y'all
be friends even if y'all wasn't family.
Yeah, we would be friends. We're best friends. I
got a cousin like that.
Yeah, that's like
the cousin I was talking about earlier, the cancer. Which is, her name is Keela.
Oh, is it really?
I'm trying to tell you, like, wow. I'm like, what
that's something.
World.
Yeah, her name is Tequila, and we call her Keela. Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, and she's here
crazy.
That's
that's bananas for real. Like, they're the same relationship, and they have the same name. Yeah. So she's my
like I couldn't even, I didn't know what to say. I'm just listening to you like, oh my God.
Oh wow, that's nuts, bro. That's for real. That's crazy. I would say I would want to say my spiritual leader, my pastor. You know, he's the one that also kind of holds me down a lot. He's very wise. He's a very wise person. I admire him and his wife for the work that they do, the sacrifices that they do.
Right.
And that's, I mean, but my mom stays number one though, for real. Cause like, yeah, she really does. We talk every day. She's one of my best friends too.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So those will probably be my people.
Okay. Well, you know, at the end of the day, you're a businesswoman. So no such thing as a shameful plug. You can plug whatever you want. Let people know where to find each of your books. Let them know the titles, your websites, your social media. The floor is yours.
Cool. Well, my name is Valtrenda, obviously. And so the good Lord has privileged me to be the only Valtrenda in the world. And so it's not hard to find me. So social media and my website is valtrenda.net. I think my experience and knowledge and my growing knowledge, because I don't want anybody to ever think that I'm done learning. My growing knowledge and my experience has spoken enough for me to where, you know, people would trust me with their lives. And that's typically what I do as a life coach, is just help people manage their own lives. But, you know, that's a lot. You can find all that stuff on my website, everything that I'm doing, all that stuff. When the world was open outside, I was everywhere. I've introduced big names, Stokley from Mint Condition. I've been able to introduce him on stage, you know, and he used to sing with Prince. And I've been with SWV.
Coko.
I have, with Coko from SWV, and all of these actors. And I mean, that's the great part. But my passion is being able to sit in front of this camera and be able to help people manage their lives. And just know that if you do come to me, I'm gonna give it to you raw. You know, I'm gonna give it to you real and straight up. And that information the tools that I give comes from knowledge as well as experience. My clients know certain things that I've been there, you know what I mean? So I can identify what makes me different from your regular, you know, therapist or anybody else and any other life coaches, that I've experienced a lot. And I haven't just gone into this just to make money. You know, I've gone into it because I literally have a passion for it. It's my passion. I stay up to 1 o'clock at night a lot of times, you know, just trying to make sure that other people's lives are together. And then I take time for my own self too, you know.
So Coko ain't close these though, I see. So you said speaking to this camera so people can get these services.
Yeah, absolutely.
Even during the pandemic.
Yes, services. Absolutely. Especially now, because now a lot of people, they've been forced to deal with themselves. They've been forced to deal with their own thoughts. They've been home. You can't go to the club. You can't go out. You can't be surrounded by noise so that you can block out what's going on in your own mind. Now you're forced to deal with what's going on in your mind. Now your mind is talking to you and you're forced to listen to it. Yeah. You're forced to listen to it tell you you need counseling. You're forced to listen to it tell you you really never did get over that divorce. You're forced to listen to it tell you, you know, you remember, as much as you want to push out of your brain, you were molested at 5 years old, at 6 years old, you were raped at 15. And your brain is telling you these things. And now is the time. Now is no other time than before to listen to it tell you to go get the help that you need. Yeah. And if that person is not me, I'll send you to somebody, but please get the help that you need. Yeah. And I have space available now for a couple more clients. I can only take on so much because, you know, as you can tell, if you sit there and listen to someone for an hour pour out their life, you know, you have to make space for the next person. You have to make space for yourself. And I'm smart enough to know that I'm not going to overwhelm myself with clients just to make money. That's not me. I want to be able to give my clients 1000% at that time. So however, I do have space for more clientele. If they're wanting and willing to do the work, you got to be willing to do the work, because I'm not going to do it for you. Right. And you have homework with me. Right.